Welcome to the Rotojoes Fantasy Football Podcast. Tonight, we are going over our Thursday night football betting preview, talk about some fantasy takeaways through 2 weeks. Real quick, Caden, do you think Stephon Diggs has a legit shot at finishing as the wide receiver one at the end of the season in PPR scoring?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, my pick was Justin Jefferson. If I had to not pick Justin Jefferson, it easily would have been Diggs. That connection him and Josh Allen have, that's not fair. Like if those two dudes picked out each other's outfits, and I wouldn't be surprised. And they're just out there having fun, and you don't see that a whole lot. And they learned about it last night though. The Titans. It's he's on a different level completely. Buffalo's on a different level completely. I know that kills you to probably watch that, but it's the way it is.
Oh yeah, the Bills are a buzzsaw. You don't want to play them. They're so good. Stephon Diggs he would have been my second choice for wide receiver one at the end of the year in scoring. Him and Josh Allen have a great connection. And Joe Brady being there as the quarterback's coach, I think him and Ken Dorsey, honestly, might be a better offensive coordinator, quarterback coach duo than DeBall and Dorsey were. So I'm really excited to keep watching that Bills offense. I have Stephon Diggs in a couple leagues, and I am winning in those leagues because he's just putting up crazy points these last 2 weeks. Is Amon-Ra St. Brown real?
Yes.
Yes, I was wrong on that. I'm gonna have to take a hell on it.
Yeah, I think he's real, and I think we need to respect it. I mean, there's so many wide receivers out there falling short on expectations. That's something I could definitely buy into now. I mean, it's not that I didn't like the guy. I just had my doubts. I had my doubts with it. I like the player, and I still don't know second half of the season how much Jameson Williams is going to eat into that. But I would ride the wave because, I mean, Jameson Williams is looking at like a November return. So ride that wave as long as you can. I do think Williams will take away a good amount. I just question if Jared Goff can get it to Williams. I don't know if that's really a good mix between quarterback and receiver. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, Amon-Ra, I can't even say his name. St. Brown's, I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, I had my doubts too. I wasn't sure if he was really going to be like a top 30 wide receiver. I think he'll no doubt be that at the end of this year. Not even a question. He's a target hog. Exactly the type of receiver you want to have on a roster. And Jameson Williams might eat into his target share a little bit, but even if he sees 5-6 targets a game, that's a good amount. Is Nathaniel Hackett the worst rookie head coach you've ever seen?
I don't know. Adam Gase was pretty bad. I guess he wasn't really bad until the end of Miami, beginning of New York thing. I gotta imagine that the Raiders had a revolving door at coach there for a while, about 8 years ago. So it's hard to imagine he's the worst. I mean, he's got a lot of. I think he's probably the worst with as much talent as he has on that roster. I think that's the problem. If he was out there doing this shit on the Jets, no one would bat a fucking eye. You know what I'm saying? Because we're so used to seeing that. But he's got a $250 million quarterback. He's got 2 legit receivers, 2 really good running backs. He's got everything he needs to succeed. And I think that's where it's going to cost him his job sooner rather than later. I mean, if he goes out there and goes 5-12, he's going to have a hell of a time keeping his job. Just real honestly, I think expectations are a little higher for a loaded roster opposed to a rebuild. So yeah, he's bad. I mean, there was a lot of just undisciplined play call, penalties. They've been getting penalized like fucking crazy. I've watched at least a little bit of both those games, and it's just fucking one thing after another. I mean, I heard shit called in some of these games that I haven't heard called in a long time. You know what I mean? I can't remember, but I just had to, like, there was a couple calls where it caught me off guard because I was like, what the fuck? Like, who does that?
Yeah, Hackett's been bad. The Denver fans counting down the play clock for Russell Wilson and him. That was pretty bad. I have never seen that in a football game, especially not by the home fans. Just he doesn't look ready for the moment at all. Doesn't look like he can get the play call in time. I'm not quite sure how he got hired, honestly, at this point. This is pretty bad.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers got him a job. That's what it is.
Could you imagine Mike McDaniel coaching this team?
Be a different game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That would change the landscape of the NFL. I mean, and here's the deal. It's we can't put Mike McDaniel in the Hall of Fame yet, but he's doing a really good job. You know, 2 weeks in, he's doing a really good job. I'm even impressed with Peterson. You know, I know they lost that one game. They came back, rebounded, and won. Eberflus looks like dog shit. If we're just being honest, that team looks bad. It looks just as bad, if not worse, than the Chicago Bears of last year. Which I kind of expected, but I kind of hoped it wouldn't be that way. But yeah, I mean, so far, I think Mike McDaniel, he's doing the damn thing. So I gotta respect. I love his interviews too. That shit's hilarious.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. I like him. He's probably my favorite rookie head coach. Last fantasy question. Would you rather have James Robinson or Travis Etienne for the rest of the season?
I think the jury's still out on that one. I think Etienne's numbers would be better if Trevor wasn't so all over the place. I think that's kind of my takeaway from it. There's been a lot of accuracy issues, and you know, I've seen highlights where he just plain overthrew him. I'd have to say probably Etienne in hopes that things get better. Etienne's definitely got the higher upside, but you know, the safe pick right now is James Robinson. Value-wise, the James Robinson people are getting a whole lot more out of their investment than the 4th, 5th round Etienne guys. So I guess that's kind of the breakdown on that. But yeah, it's a tough one to swallow. It's hard to watch, really. I know we're just 2 weeks in. There's a whole lot of football left, but they need to make some significant changes if the ETN truthers like myself are going to come out on top. I will say, though, it's about 3 years delayed, but I got to take that Irv Smith victory lap here pretty soon because he found the fucking end zone.
Once.
Hey, I'll fucking take it.
Hey, who's back of the week? Primetime Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and we talked about it. I mean, Kirk Cousins is fucking, and that, yeah. I mean, he's fucking garbage on.
I talked myself into a lot of Vikings plus 2.5. Pretty disappointing. I should have known better.
Man, Jalen Hurts though, I think he's the real deal. You know, fantasy wise, he just gets better. I got one for you though before we get into it. How about Kenny Golladay? That shit is fucking hilarious to me.
Oh, he sucks.
He does.
But he sucks for like an NFL player. It's bad.
Well, I mean, so 2 years. This is his second year of a 4-year, $72 million contract, right? He's been targeted twice this entire year. After the game where they got, well, who'd they play? They won. They played
The Panthers.
the Panthers. He cleaned out his locker. Read that report yesterday. So he's pretty much planning on getting cut at this point. Here's my question. Can he be productive somewhere else? The immediate thing that comes to mind to me is Chicago.
Sorry, I was just thinking about your answer. I just don't want to act like I didn't hear you. Go ahead, but I have a train of thought on that.
I'm just curious, is he going to be an asset anywhere else? And the first thing that comes to mind is I bet Chicago would pick up the phone. I bet there's a few receiver needy teams out there. What about Baltimore?
So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it depends on where he goes. If he went and played with Aaron Rodgers, probably some there. If he played with Lamar, maybe up in the air. If he played with a young quarterback like, well, he wouldn't go there, but like Jalen Hurts, I wouldn't want him at all. I wouldn't want to touch him. So it just kind of depends on where he ends up, but maybe. I don't think he's just done.
Because, I mean, when he played with Stafford, he had a couple good years. I mean, and Stafford's good. I love Stafford, but he's not necessarily the Aaron Rodgers type that just makes everybody better. I think he's a very good, very efficient quarterback, but he doesn't really have that it factor. So, I mean, there's potential out there for him, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Read that he cleaned out his locker. I'm like, damn, this boy, he ready to get the fuck out of New York.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones is not helping anyone produce anything. One buy low after 2 weeks of fantasy football. Caden, yours would be Dalvin Cook. Why are you buying low on Dalvin Cook?
I mean, it's for me, it's a game script thing. Like he had a halfway decent week one, which was surprising because I mean they were really going with the passing attack the whole game. Still an elite talent. He hasn't been hurt in a few years, so that's always reassuring that he's maybe past being mildly injury prone. I mean, last week I read it off to a game script thing, but you got to think those people that spent a first round pick on Dalvin Cook at this point are probably pretty close to pushing the oh shit button. I mean, you got to think about it. A team that goes 0-3, my opinion, 0-3 is about the point where you either got to do something or just accept what it is. 0-4. I mean, anything's possible, right? You can come back from it, but if you're consistently getting the shit kicked out of you every week, 0-4, you got to make some moves or just decide you're going to tank, and that's the way I see it. And a lot of it has to do with how your league structure is. Like, if it's a first takes all thing and you're 0-4, pretty damn good chance you're not going to take it. So in Dynasty, maybe you make some moves to build up for the future. There's a lot of different things that go into it, but I bet you after 2 weeks, that person who spent a mid-first round pick on Dalvin Cook's like, oh shit, I might have fucked up. And I think he could be had, and I think the outlook's still pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities on this offense. I think they should have went with the run game a little bit more before they started getting the shit kicked out of them. That's my buy low. I'd go try to give me some Dalvin Cook for cheap.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to have a perfectly fine season. He only has one red zone carry. That's bound to change. It's going to go up. He's an elite goal line back, really an elite back in general still. He's a target that you trade for if you're a contender, no problem. I would send a 23 first for him if you felt like you were contending, and it got you there. My buy low is going to be Javonte Williams. So he hasn't scored a touchdown yet, but he saw 65% of the snaps last week, which is encouraging because that's a major, major share of the backfield. It's not 50-50. 65-35 with Melvin is a great split for Javonte. He still saw 4 targets, so it wasn't 11 like the game against Seattle, but still a good amount for a running back. Visually, he has looked very, very, very good running the football this year. Definitely making a difference. One of the top 10 running backs in the league right now. The breakout's going to come. That offense will positively regress. Melvin will play a role, but I don't think he's going to see a 50-50 split. Javante's just going to end up being the guy, and he's going to end up breaking out. And you want to buy him now before you have to spend way more. It only takes one game.
Yeah, that's unfortunately true. I saw a stat on Javonte Williams. He is 1.5 yards per carry from going from the RB14 to the RB1. Think about that for a second. 1.5 yards per carry away from, being the guy. So as bad as that offense has been, his luck is bound to change at some point. I think he turns it around sooner rather than later. I think there's definitely some potential there that will exceed expectations. He's just gonna. It's about as bad of a first 2 games as you can start with. Outlook's really good for me. I would have no problem. I don't know if anybody's gonna sell low, but I bet you some people can be convinced to lose a trade on it.
I bet some people would panic sell, like normies that don't know better.
Yeah.
Javante's nice.
My pro tip is I'll act like I'll sell anybody, right? And just see what comes in. You don't have to hit that accept button. But sometimes you'll be surprised on what offers you get on anything. I always tell everybody someone can be had for the right price and just see what happens.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, especially in Dynasty Leagues. You always have to be at least taking offers. You never know what you're going to get. I got Mark Andrews for Mike Evans in a 2023 first. That deal looks really good now. And that whole Bucs offense looks like it's in shambles, but that's neither here nor there. Moving into our betting preview, we have Cleveland at home taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The line right now is Cleveland minus 4.5. Over under is 38.5. Caden, where are we sitting on the line?
I'm going to bet the Steelers. I think they're coached better. I think they are more sound in a lot of position group than the Cleveland Browns. Look, great. Cleveland Browns fucked around and won a couple games. No, wait, they didn't. They lost to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know why they're the favorite. I saw that, and immediately that was something that I looped into just about every parlay I was thinking up in my mind is Steelers money line. I think the Steelers are a better organization. They have more of a winning culture. I think the Browns. They're one Nick Chubb injury away from a bad fucking time. You know what I'm saying? Amari Cooper went out there and looked like Randy Moss last week. That's great. They played the Jets.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, I'm probably avoiding, I'm not going to bet the line at all. If I had to pick, I'd have Cleveland by a touchdown. So I'd have to go Cleveland minus 4.5 just because of the guy you just mentioned, Nick Chubb. I don't think he'll get hurt this game, but Pittsburgh's not a great run defense. Their offense is pretty bad. Cleveland's defense isn't good, though. But Nick Chubb is the best player on either team, and I think that's going to be the difference maker. Over under at 38.5. I have the over in this one. I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring than everyone's expecting. It is a short week, and people don't like to bet the over on short weeks. However, It's only week 3. I went back and looked. The last 3 years, there were a lot of times the over hit these last 3 years in the first 5 weeks of Thursday Night Football. After that is when it started to trail off. So I like the over in this one, Caden. Where are you standing on the over? Under.
What do you say, 38?
38.5.
I like that. I mean, these division rival games, they get heated. In my opinion, just from what I've seen over the years, division rival games usually end up higher scoring because they're out there, they're trying to make a point. Division, if the coach has any sense at all, he's beat into them that division games count more, which they do. So I'd definitely probably go the over. I still like Pittsburgh in the end. I think they're going to be able to operate more efficiently than Cleveland, and I think that'll pay off. I know TJ Watt's out, but they still got a lot of playmakers on that offense. Fitzpatrick's going to eat Brissett alive.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Brissett plays this game. He's been all right. Ultimately, Nick Chubb's going to carry that team to any type of success until Watson comes back. All right, Kate, your single game parlay. You have the Steelers money line, a Chubb anytime touchdown, and Mitch Trubisky over 169.5 passing yards. That guy is a plus 700 parlay. Tell me about it.
Oh, I love that. I couldn't believe it. When I just start fucking around, right? I'll pick out some things I like, see what the odds are, kind of tinker with it. And this one, I get 3 picks in, it's already plus 700. And that's great. You're talking about, turning $50 into $350. And I'd hate to see a Cleveland Browns game where Nick Chubb doesn't get in the end zone at least once. Did it 3 times last week, just so everybody's aware. I know it was the Jets. I know it's a different story, but just like you said, he's the best football player on that team, and they would be doing themselves a huge disservice if they don't give him the ball. Steelers money line, talked about that. I think, like I said, better organization, better coached. I think they come out on top. And then the Mitch Trubisky over 170 passing yards. I'm not 100% convinced in the Browns secondary. They went out there and let Joe Flacco look elite last week. So I think Mitch could get $170. If I lose that parlay, it's going to be on Mitch. I'll tell you right now. But 170 really isn't a whole lot on a bad secondary, so I like my odds there.
Do you think Kenny Pickett could play this week?
Fuck, I hope not. let Mitch get 170, then Kenny Pickett can play all he wants.
Yeah, I like that.
Realistically, it is a possibility.
I really think this game is a toss-up. Like I said, I would not bet the spread. I really don't even like doing parlays anymore. Anytime touchdowns are where it's at. But I would not do the spread at all. So my single game parlay, I have over 38.5 total points. I have Cleveland over 13.5 points. The Steelers over 7.5 points. Hunt over 20 receiving yards. And then Nick Chubb over 65 rushing yards. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb Thursday night, especially on a short week. Steelers and Cleveland both over 7 and 14 points. I mean, if the game goes over 38.5 points, that's going to happen. I don't think the Steelers aren't going to reach at least 10 points. Cleveland, I think, is going to put up quite a bit of offense this game, just with Chubb and Hunt. It's plus 425 on FanDuel. It's not a super, super, super risky parlay, but it's built in a way that gets a pretty good odds number on a pretty likely bet.
Yeah, that's the way you got to do it. I mean, you don't have to go for $1 million every week if you make, strategic bets on likely scenarios and do multiple of them. I mean, you can definitely make big profits on it. That one definitely seems realistic to me. I mean, Hunt and Chubb are the two best players on that football team. Hunt kind of hurt my feelings last week, so I mean, he still got like 8 or 9 points, but I could have a couple more. What was it? Cleveland over, what, 13.5?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, definitely possible. A lot of those coincide. I mean, if they go over 14 points, it'll definitely be because Nick Chubb's running the shit out of them. I like that just because they all kind of work with each other. I think what made my odds go so out of whack is overlapping things like, oh, well, Chubb's going to score a touchdown, but the Steelers are going to win. I think that's kind of what spikes it to some degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like the way that one goes, and I'd have no problem putting some money on that.
All right. So real quick before we go, we're gonna play smash or pass with anytime touchdown score odds. Smash,
So
you get pass, you don't want it. So
let's go into. I will never probably ever bet a first touchdown score. Have you seen those lines?
no, I would maybe put $1 or $2 on it if I really felt like strongly on one. But yeah,
Now,
I'd
maybe bet like a Diggs first touchdown, maybe. But outside of that, man, I just don't like those at all, just because it's so random. Yeah, those are. I don't know why that just came into my head, but I stay completely away from first touchdown scores, anytime touchdowns. Odds are still pretty close to the other one. I like that a whole hell of a lot more.
Yeah, that's where I do the best is anytime touchdowns. It's really not as hard to project, and the odds are good enough that you don't need to hit every single one of them. So, smash or pass. Najee Harris plus 150.
Oh, I'd take it.
I
Smash.
have a unit on it. I like that one too.
Huh.
David Njoku plus 470.
I love the odds. Probably gonna pass though. Just given how his season's kind of started.
George Pickens plus 460.
I'm gonna pass on that right now. I don't think he's catching on to the NFL speed quite like we'd like.
So I smashed the Njoku. I also have a unit on that. I also have a small unit on Pickens, but that's just more of like a gets lucky and burns the deep coverage. But not sure. Here's a fun one. Last one. Pittsburgh defense plus 900.
For a touchdown? Yeah. I
like that too. I don't think that's bad. All right, Caden, do we have anything else we want to talk about?
Man, I hope your fantasy weeks go better this week. Man, been a rough first couple of weeks, but I got a question for you.
What's up?
Is Tua real?
Yeah.
I saw this thing today where Tua, and these are just these damn reporters that kind of go a little too far with it sometimes, but they ranked out the MVP candidates. Tua was number 5. What do you think about that?
I think it could happen. He's talented. McDaniel's a complimentary play caller. And I figured he'd be good in that system. And I didn't know how good Waddle and Hill would be. I figured one of them would be elite. Both of those dudes are top 24 wide receivers. And if McDaniels keeps calling good games and Tua keeps executing, I don't know why he wouldn't be a potential MVP candidate. I always thought he was legit.
Do you think McDaniel was the mastermind behind Shanahan?
No, but I think he assisted.
I didn't know this until I started doing some research the other day. He's been fucking everywhere with Shanahan. I mean, all the way back to Houston, like 8 years ago. Yeah. Shanahan and McDaniel have just been like a package fucking deal everywhere they go. So that got my mind going, and maybe because San Francisco looks like shit.
Oh, that's gonna reverse.
But good on Jimmy G though. He about to make some money.
Is Jordan Mason a must grab on the waiver wire this week?
I mean, unfortunately, if you drafted Elijah Mitchell, you're probably gonna have to.
Jeff Wilson's never been healthy in his career.
Right, so it's only a matter of time.
Each of those guys up.
Yeah, I think you got to. Personally, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of fab because in reality, it's going to be Marlon Mack next week because he just signed with them. So that kind of brings me to the question, okay, we're having all these injuries in the same position group. Like, what are they doing wrong? Is it bad conditioning? Is it because they've got running back injuries out the ass for the better part of the last 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't get it. I don't get what's happening. I don't get what they're doing wrong, but it makes me just this year, I think for the most part, I just stayed away from San Francisco running backs. And it's kind of like last year's Baltimore Ravens running backs. I don't know what's going on, but it's constant injury, and it's just something I'd rather. I mean, there's going to be good points in it, but you're still going to end up hitting a brick wall at some point.
Yeah. I would want to pick up Jordan Mason, but I think you're right. This system just eats these guys up. Absolutely, just chews them up and spits them out. So
I don't get it. It's just very. I don't know who the person to own is, and I find it surprising that it took me all the way till week 3 to make that assumption. Because every year with their running backs, I'm like, I don't know who the fucking guy to get this week is. I mean, you really, if you wanted to have that share of San Francisco's backfield, you'd really have to denote at least 3 to 4 roster spots a year on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and be really good at, like, you'd have to probably have breakfast with Shanahan like twice a week to even know where to start.
You gotta be John Lynch.
Yeah, he might not even know. I bet he's tinkering with a fantasy lineup, and he's like, I wonder what he's gonna do this week. Maybe I should call him. To me, I don't. It's tough, but one more before we get out of here. How's your fantasy teams this year?
I am. Start with my worst one. I'm 0-2 in Paulie's playoff. Absolutely getting shit bagged. But I have CMC and Jamar Chase. I think that'll get worked out. I am 1-3 in Scott Fish Bowl, but I should be 2-2 except for Kirk Cousins' fucking stinker of a night. And
we're 2 weeks in. How are you 1-3?
You play against the median average score every week too. You can't see it unless you go to the Scott Fish Bowl website.
Huh.
It takes the medium score of like all of the games, and you play against that too. I'm undefeated in our dynasty league. Feel like I'm the number one contender, especially after the Trey Lance injury. Don't really think it's a question. And then 1-1 in our keeper league. Feel like I'm poised to make a run. I just need a running back injury. I have a shitload of really good backup running backs. How's your season going?
Last week I got like an hour into the game, so we're talking 1:00. I'm looking at my, I pop in there, I'm looking at things, and I'm like, I should really be 1-4 this week. I'm just getting the dog shit kicked out of me, and magically turns around, and I'm looking at 3-2, and it really shouldn't be that way. Paulie's playoff, I think I'm 0-2 in that one. I'm for whatever reason just getting fucking beat senseless every week. Scott Fishbowl, I'm 2-0. I didn't look at the median thing. I mean, I've been putting up a good amount of points, so I'm sure I'm fine. But that one's going really well. The Dynasty League, I'm getting. I have a very good roster. It's just not coming together, and that's the frustration. There is when you're like, you look at your roster and you're like, that's pretty damn good, and then you're like, well, fuck, it ain't working.
Who wins that league?
Huh?
Who's gonna win that league?
Fuck, I don't. I mean, I think even though the Trey Lance injury happened, I don't know that it really matters. I mean, that guy on the same roster, he has Kupp, Jefferson, and Diggs. I don't know how the fuck that shit happened, but it did. So I mean, and I think he's got Kamara too, which that one's another good buy low. I'd probably see what I can do to get a little bit of that. But he's completely fucked at quarterback, and it's a super flex league. So, I mean, I still think he's better than probably at least 8 other teams. You know,
I think so too.
That's the problem. Yeah, that league. I mean, I think your team's up there. I think his team's up there. Addison, he's going back to the cellar. You know, he ain't gonna do anything this year. Wayne's team's pretty good this year. I would have thought, like, going into the season, I really truthfully thought I had the best roster, but now everything's going to shit. So, I'm gonna have a fire sale if I go 0-4. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I'll be ready with my James Cook share. He looked good last week.
He did. I mean, he went out there and got some, but there's the problem in that. I mean, I read deeper than I should, and so he had the most touches this week. He had 1 touch fumbled. We never saw him again last week. What is this following week going to look like? There's a lot of things that go into it. And I'm like, I look at the Buffalo Bills, and the first thing that comes to mind is they're so good at passing offense. And I'm like, do they even fucking need a running back? I mean, really, they don't. Josh Allen could do better than the running back 9 times out of 10 anyway. I'm like, do we have another San Francisco situation brewing? That's what I ask myself.
Real quick, before we get out of here, I'll tell you what James Cook's going to do. All right.
What?
I'm not going to wait. I was going to say I am going to bet a unit on a James Cook anytime touchdown this week. I bet it happens. This is the week.
Who do they play?
The Dolphins, I think.
Oh. Okay. I could get on that. I think it'll happen.
Just because I think they're going to blow them out.
You think they're gonna blow them out?
Fuck yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna say Tua looks for real, man.
Tua can look for real, but the Bills can pressure you and only rush 4. That beats everybody.
Right.
I think everyone.
I'm kind of at the point right now where Tua's on a fence for me. And I'm wondering which way he's going to end up rocking. Is he going to be a Jalen Hurts, who is a very, very, very good fantasy quarterback? And he looked like a great all-around quarterback last night, like no doubt. But is he going to go to the Jalen Hurts side, or is he going to go be a real quarterback and win games? Because they're 2-0, right? Mm-hmm. My question is which way does he end up going at the end of the day? Because it could go either way for me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the deterrent. I have him in one league, and yes, if I would have started Tua over Justin Herbert, sure, I probably would have won last week. But that nobody in their right fucking mind would have done that. Just saying. Like that's the kind of shit that I come up on in some of these leagues. I'm like, oh, I could have won if I would have done some shit that made no fucking sense, right? Yeah, start Tua against Baltimore or Justin Herbert against Kansas City.
You didn't know Justin Herbert was going to get hurt? Duh.
I didn't know that, but still, I mean, you look at Justin Herbert's a better quarterback. He's playing the shittier defense. Like in every aspect, that was the right move. But yeah, I didn't know Justin Herbert was going to get fucked, and I didn't know Tua was going to have a god game. So that's where I'm at.
Do we have anything else?
No, buddy. Good
Awesome.
luck, everybody. We'll be back Saturday with a little bit of that love, hate, and try to help y'all win some money. If you haven't, make sure you drop a like and a follow down there. Helps us out, helps us grow. What else you got?
That's it. We'll see you guys Saturday. Have a good night.